let me ask you something personal. And I want you to just sit with it for a second. Have you ever stood next to a woman, maybe someone you were genuinely drawn to, and felt that quiet punch in your chest, that feeling that no matter how much you try, she just doesn't see you? Like other men walk into a room and she lights up, but with you, it's like your presence barely creates a ripple. It's not because you're not attractive. It's not because you're not interesting. It's not even because there's something wrong with you. Most men who feel invisible to women are actually missing something incredibly small. So small it hides in everyday conversations. And yet that tiny detail determines whether a woman feels neutral around you or unconsciously drawn toward you. I want you to imagine something for a moment. You're sitting across from a woman you like. You're trying to stay calm, trying not to overthink, but inside there's this quiet storm. Am I doing too much? Am I doing too little? Does she even notice me? And here's the part nobody tells men. Attraction for women isn't built on the big gestures you've been taught to focus on. It's built on moments. Tiny shifts, small emotional cues, subtle words that bypass her defenses and land somewhere deeper, somewhere she can feel but can't fully explain. Women respond to emotional microsignals far more than physical ones. And ironically, men who try too hard end up turning off the exact response they want to awaken. They push when they should pause. They explain when they should hold space. They chase when they should invite. And that's why today's topic matters so much. Because a woman's desire isn't triggered by manipulation, pressure, or being overly strategic. That's not attractive. That's exhausting. Her desire is triggered by emotional awareness. The kind that's communicated not through speeches, but through specific, grounded, powerful words that change the atmosphere around you. 5 words. That's it. 5 words that shift you from nice guy she appreciates to man she feels drawn to without fully understanding why. Not because you're pretending, not because you're performing, but because you're speaking in a language women actually respond to. Emotional clarity, grounded confidence, and a sense of presence most men never embody. And if you're thinking, why hasn't anyone told me this before? Well, maybe because men aren't usually taught how attraction feels from a woman's perspective. You're taught to impress, to provide, to pursue, but rarely to communicate in a way that actually reaches her. So before we dive into these 5 words, I want you to do something simple. Let go of the belief that attraction has to be complicated. Women don't need perfect men. Women don't even want perfect men. What they do respond to, deeply, are men who communicate with intention instead of insecurity. And these 5 words will help you do exactly that. Let's start with the first one. The one that quietly lowers her guard and makes her lean in without realizing she's doing it. First, say this word when you want her guard to drop. Notice. Have you ever wondered why some men can say the simplest things and a woman suddenly softens, like her entire energy shifts toward them without her even meaning to? What if I told you that one of the most powerful attraction triggers isn't a compliment, but a direction? Imagine you're talking to a woman you like. She's slightly guarded, maybe a little unsure, maybe evaluating you. Most men respond to that moment by over-explaining themselves, trying to impress her, or withdrawing completely to avoid messing it up. But picture this. You look at her, not in a needy way, but in a grounded, calm, observant way. And you say, "Notice something." That tiny phrase pulls her attention toward you, not her doubts. It redirects her mind from judgment to awareness. It brings the moment into focus. The human brain shifts emotional states based on where attention is directed. When you say the word notice, you're guiding her attention gently, respectfully, into the present moment. Women associate present moment awareness with safety, curiosity, and connection. It does 3 things simultaneously. Interrupts her internal monologue. She stops rehearsing her doubts. She stops analyzing you. You've shifted her mental channel, creates emotional attunement. She starts tuning into you, your tone, your presence, your energy. Positions you as grounded and intentional, not dominating, not controlling, just confidently directing attention. Women feel drawn to men who make the moment feel meaningful without forcing anything. You're not saying, "Notice me." You're saying, "Notice the moment we're in." That's what makes it powerful, because women desire what they feel, not what they're told to feel. So how do you use it naturally? Examples. Notice how calm this feels. Notice how easy this conversation is. Notice what that smile just did. You're not manipulating, you're simply drawing attention to what's already happening. Something real, something present, and women respond to presence. But here's the twist. Sometimes desire grows not from clarity, but from uncertainty. So what happens when the most attractive word you can say is the opposite of certainty? 2. The most underrated attraction word. Men forget maybe. Let me ask you something simple, but uncomfortable. Why do you think some men instantly lose a woman's interest the moment they decide they really like her? It's not because they're too eager. It's not because they're bad at texting. It's not even because she preferred someone else. Most of the time, it's because they replaced mystery with certainty too quickly, and attraction needs just a little bit of space to breathe. That's where one of the most powerful and completely underused Incas words enters. Maybe. Not as a game, not as avoidance, but as a calm invitation to explore possibilities without forcing outcomes. Picture this. A woman asks you a question that has emotional weight behind it. Even if she disguises it as casual, "Do you like me? Are you looking for something serious? Do you want to hang out again? What are we doing right now?" Most men panic because they think they must deliver a perfect final answer, so they rush, they overcommit, or they underplay their feelings out of fear. But imagine instead, you exhale, you stay grounded, and you say, "Maybe, let's see," or "Maybe, let's feel it out," or "Maybe, I'm open to whatever makes sense for both of us." Her mind doesn't read that as uncertainty. It reads it as confidence without pressure. Because maybe isn't about the answer, it's about the energy behind it. Women aren't attracted to men who rush the emotional process. They're attracted to men who stay present inside uncertainty without collapsing or demanding reassurance. The word maybe communicates exactly that. Here's what it triggers psychologically. 1. It removes pressure. You're not forcing a direction. You're not demanding clarity prematurely. You're telling her, "We can let this unfold." And that feels safe. 2. It invites curiosity. Maybe activates a part of her brain linked to exploration and anticipation. Humans desire what feels unfolding, not predetermined. 3. It signals confidence. Only grounded men can sit comfortably in the unknown. Most men rush to clarity because they're anxious. You're showing calm self-control. 4. It gives her room to step forward. A woman steps toward what feels open, not what feels decided. Maybe is the emotional equivalent of opening a door without dragging her through it. This is important. Maybe doesn't mean you're unsure of yourself. It means you're not in a hurry to define something that deserves time, depth, and mutual energy. You're not withholding commitment. You're withholding premature certainty. There's a huge difference. Maybe is not a boundary. It's an invitation. It tells her, "I'm not running ahead of this moment. I'm right here with you." Most men have never been taught how powerfully attractive that is. But here's where things get complicated. Because there's one word, one men avoid like a threat, that makes a woman feel a kind of respect that instantly changes the dynamic. A word that feels bold, mature, and grounded. A word that tells her you're not afraid to stand up for yourself without raising your voice. And when a man uses it correctly, her entire perception of him shifts. 3. Why this word makes women respect you instantly. Enough. Let me ask you something that might sting a little. How often do you stay in situations where you feel drained, overlooked, or even disrespected just to avoid rocking the boat? Here's the truth. Most men avoid facing. Women don't desire men who tolerate endless compromise at the cost of their own dignity. She's subconsciously tracking whether you value yourself enough to set limits. And that's where the most underrated word in a man's vocabulary comes in. Enough. Picture this. You're out with a woman you like. Maybe she's being playful, but the conversation starts to feel dismissive, testing, or even manipulative. Most men, terrified of losing her, will either smile and shrug, letting it slide, over-apologize, or over-explain, try to prove themselves endlessly. But imagine if instead you calmly say, "Okay, that's enough." No anger, no dramatics, just a grounded pause. The conversation shifts, the energy changes. She notices it, she feels it, and without realizing it, she respects you more. Because boundaries are magnetic when they're delivered with calm authority. Here's why enough works. It signals self-respect. You're telling her, silently, through your presence, that you have standards, that your emotional energy isn't negotiable. It halts negative patterns. Women are attracted to men who stop toxicity gracefully, not aggressively. You interrupt behavior without becoming aggressive, anxious, or defensive. It activates admiration. Women subconsciously respect men who can enforce boundaries without emotional chaos. There's an unspoken attraction to stability, calmness, and self-possession. It reveals your emotional independence. You're not dependent on her approval to feel worthy. That alone is incredibly magnetic. Most men avoid using this word because they fear confrontation or rejection, and that fear is exactly why they remain invisible, or worse, emotionally drained. Women aren't drawn to men who bend endlessly. They're drawn to men who know where the line is and stand firm without drama. Here's the real wake-up call. Wake up. If you've ever felt like you had to win a woman by tolerating nonsense, you've been training her to see you as negotiable. Attraction isn't built on sacrifice or compliance, it's built on respect, the kind you earn by showing you respect yourself first. And the scary truth? Most men never learn this. They confuse conflict avoidance with charm. You're different. If you're listening right now, you have the chance to break that cycle. Enough is not aggression. It's not punishment. It's calm authority. It tells her, I value my energy, my standards, and my presence, and I won't give them away carelessly. That's a man she unconsciously wants to invest attention in, not because you demand it, but because you've shown you are emotionally self-sufficient. But here's a question that shifts attraction from respect into desire. Respect sets the stage, yes, but desire needs emotional safety, the kind that lets her feel connected without fear. 4. The word that activates desire through emotional safety, stay. Have you ever noticed how some men can be perfectly respectful, confident, even attractive, and yet women still pull away emotionally? Here's the truth. Attraction isn't just about respect or mystery. It's about creating emotional safety, the subtle sense that being with you feels grounding, not chaotic, that she can lean in without fear of being judged, pushed, or dismissed. And one small word has a surprisingly powerful effect. Stay. Imagine this. You're sitting across from her after a long day. Maybe she's stressed. Maybe she's laughing. Maybe she's opening up about something personal. Most men would either offer advice too quickly, joke to lighten the mood, or retreat emotionally because they're afraid of saying the wrong thing. Instead, try this. Stay with me for a moment. Or, stay, let's just sit here. It's simple, no drama, no pressure, and yet she pauses. She feels invited. She senses that you aren't rushing, that you're genuinely present with her experience. That feeling of being safe, noticed, and emotionally seen sparks desire on a deep level. Why does this work? Safety is magnetic. Women's attraction spikes when they feel protected emotionally, not in a controlling way, but in a way that signals stability and attentiveness. Presence creates intimacy. Stay invites her to inhabit the moment with you. She feels seen, heard, and grounded. All cues that her brain links with connection and trust. It contrasts with a world of impatience. Most men rush conversations, jump to conclusions, or move on too quickly. When you invite her to stay, you break the pattern. That pause, that calmness, signals emotional strength. It subtly communicates value. You're showing that you value her presence without forcing her to perform or prove anything. That alone fosters emotional closeness and desire. Think about it like this: watching a sunset together in silence, listening while she vents about work, sharing a quiet coffee, while not rushing to check your phone. In these moments, saying stay is not a command. It's an invitation to share presence, and that shared presence triggers subconscious desire. Women respond to men who make them feel seen, comfortable, allowed to just be themselves. It's not complicated. It's not about clever lines or manipulation. It's about creating a pocket of emotional safety that feels magnetic. Here's the key. You don't need to entertain her to spark desire. You don't need to perform or analyze her mood endlessly. You need to hold space, to let her know she can lean in without fear. And the word stay is one of the simplest, most profound ways to do that. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Safety builds comfort, but desire needs play, curiosity, and intrigue to ignite fully. There's one final word that blends emotional closeness with light-hearted tension. A word that makes her want to come back again and again. 5. The word that sparks curiosity and pulls her toward you again. Here's a question. Have you ever noticed how women are naturally drawn to men who make ordinary moments feel a little unpredictable? Not chaotic, not manipulative, just intriguing enough to make her lean in emotionally without realizing she's doing it. That's where the final word enters, a word almost no man uses intentionally, but one that triggers curiosity, playful tension, and desire all at once. Again, picture this. You're laughing over a shared story, maybe teasing each other lightly. Maybe you've just finished a small fun experience, a coffee shop moment, a walk, or a playful joke. Instead of letting the moment end, you say, "Again?" She looks at you, slightly surprised. You're not commanding her, you're inviting her, and suddenly the energy changes. She's curious. She wants to see what you mean. She wants to engage. That little spark, that playful nudge, creates desire without pressure, without force. Here's why it works so well. Curiosity triggers emotional engagement. Again, makes her brain pause, process, and anticipate. The brain is wired to respond to playful unpredictability. In a safe, grounded context, it's irresistible. It blends closeness with tension. Unlike words that create comfort, this word creates a tiny gap between expectation and reality. That gap invites emotional and sexual energy to build naturally. It signals confidence and playfulness. You're showing you're present, aware, and unafraid to gently challenge the moment. Not pushy, not manipulative. Just light, intentional energy that draws her in. It reinforces shared experiences. Shared joy, playful repetition, and light teasing build attachment. She remembers the fun you create, not the effort or planning behind it. Think about small, everyday moments, sharing a laugh after a minor mishap, repeating a game or inside joke she enjoys, revisiting a spontaneous adventure you both loved. Saying again turns mundane experiences into emotional touchpoints. It's subtle, fun, and highly memorable. Most men underestimate how playful curiosity builds attraction. They focus on serious strategies or overthink their moves, but desire often grows in the spaces between comfort and intrigue. Here's the key takeaway. Attraction isn't built on grand gestures alone. It's built on small, meaningful, emotionally resonant moments, amplified by the right words, at the right time, with calm presence. The 5 words we've discussed, notice, maybe, enough, stay, again, aren't tricks. They're tools to communicate. Awareness, emotional presence, self-respect, playfulness, curiosity. When used naturally, these words quietly create desire, without pressure, manipulation, or drama. Let me leave you with something most men will never hear in their lives. Desire isn't about proving yourself, chasing, or being enough in someone else's eyes. It's about showing her the man who already is enough for himself. When you embody presence, confidence, and calm authority, attraction follows naturally. The 5 words we discussed, notice, maybe, enough, stay, again, aren't tricks. They're subtle invitations to a woman's emotional world, guiding her without pressure, judgment, or manipulation. Here's my personal message to you. You don't need to overthink, overperform, or overanalyze every interaction. Women are drawn to men who are grounded, self-aware, and emotionally present. The moment you stop chasing approval and start inviting curiosity and connection, you step into a kind of magnetism that feels effortless and real. So here's my challenge. Take these words, practice them with intention, and notice the shift, not just in how women respond, but in how you feel about yourself. Confidence grows when it's rooted in self-respect, not performance. I want to hear your experience. Which word shifted your interactions the most? Which one felt natural, and which one challenged you? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk about it openly. No judgments. And remember this. The man who knows his own worth doesn't need to demand attention. He simply allows it to arrive.